The same police who sign an accord with, and there is freedom of movement, there is freedom of speech, nobody's against that. But for you to come out now and say you apply to the police, you cannot apply to the police, and the police will grant the other party audience and come here not to grant the audience. Please, we don't come on air and criticize the Nigeria police unnecessarily. So I think I'm not in line with that speech.
Well, Mr. Anima, all of this going back and forth, because as I said initially, if you keep going at each other this way, you give people the impression, even your supporters, as though you can't have peaceful rallies in the state, and then both parties cohabiting together. At least earlier on today, we were told that, look, they have friends amongst yourselves. So what exactly is the bone of contention?
I've said it before. Well, first, let me clear something Kelechi I just said. Perhaps you didn't hear me properly. What I did say is that after the first day's rally that was disrupted through bomb, we took another date, which the police said we cannot hold a rally because Her Excellency the First Lady was in town. It was that same period the ladies that died that came from Bayelsa State came to see her. We were to hold a rally. The police said we could not. The date we finally took now was not taken by us. It was the police that took this date and told us to hold it that day.
Did your party agree with that?
We agreed with it. We allowed it for peace. Because ordinarily, that the First Lady is coming to the state cannot stop a political party from holding a rally. She is not part of that party. She had no business with that party. But because we wanted to maintain the peace, we allowed the police to give us a date of their choice, which they did.
On the day of this rally, when it eventually held, because it was beamed live, and then many were asking questions because they thought that there must have been some intelligence about this kind of scenario. Because you've cited several cases of what happened, how the history of all of those, so it suggests that your party may also have had intelligence about what may likely happen. Did you? To the best, you see, intelligence ordinarily is, that's a special team ordinarily that should be able to, we rely on the police, we rely on the SSS, we rely on the army to give us proper intelligence. And so even when they told us that they could not guarantee security, we took it for granted that because perhaps they had information that we never had, so we let it go as it were. But for this, they had cleared the ground. They told us everything was normal. The Deputy Commissioner of Police was there himself. The zonal head was there himself. The DSS was there themselves. So we felt beyond reasonable doubt that we had protection, unlike what they did at the first time. Okay. All right. Just hang on a minute. We'll go to our correspondent, Emmanuel Ereyi, who is reporting to us from Port Harcourt. We spoke to him earlier today, and here's what he had to say.
It appears the last has not been heard about the violence that took place in Okrika recently. This time, members of the Nigerian Union of Journalists came together earlier in the day to take a position on what they describe as a dangerous trend of violence brewing across the state. They also expressed their concern over what they call threat to life that journalists may have to face in the coverage of the elections. Of course, the attack on our senior correspondent Charles Okrika was one of the points raised. They threatened that unless the authorities provide genuine actions as to guarantee the safety of journalists during the electioneering period, then politicians may have to carry out the activities in the dark, that is, without media coverage. The union had promised to issue a communique in the next 1 week in the light of developments in the coming days. Meanwhile, the Rivers State Police Command has declared a full-scale investigation into the crisis as ordered by the Inspector General of Police under the supervision of the AIG in charge of Zone 6, Tunde Ogushaki, and there are hopes that that investigation will get to the root of the matter and possibly stem the spate of violence in the state and reduce the political tension.
Thank you, Emmanuel, coming to us from Port Harcourt. Let me get back to Honorable Wogu. Is there an attempt by your party to stop the APC from holding some rallies? Because Mr. Iroinama here says that, well, when the First Lady was in town, the police did tell them you can't hold your rallies, he says, because the First Lady was in town. Is there any such plan to stop them from holding rallies?
Well, Chamberlain, thank you very much for that question. There is no such plan by my party, and my party has no power to stop APC from holding their rally. My party have no power to stop APC from holding their rally. But I would like to make it clear, by their fruit we shall know them. I've explained to you here the incident. You see, when you were making your speech, you said, how can we find peace? I think we should find peace by we knowing the meaning of peace. I said it here earlier when I was making my statement, how they attacked us in Abu Awubia local government, how they attacked us in Eleme local government, how they attacked us in Okrika. A serving member of House of Reps, they shot him down on his right hand. A serving member, Gogo, he's there. As I speak to you, a boy from Oroma local government is lying critical ill in India. This thing I'm showing you here was done by a serving caretaker member. A serving caretaker member.
Let me even quickly get his response to this, because you've shown this picture once or twice now. What happened in this case?
That's it's a funny thing when I hear. I am not surprised at him. He is among a few persons that are working for Mrs. Patience Jonathan. You recall what happened in the assembly. It is his likes that does not understand that mathematics, 1, 2 is greater than 1.
What happened in this case?
This, I wouldn't want to venture into something I don't really know the truth. It happened in a different LG. I can't really tell this is the first time I'm seeing this particular issue. So I don't want to say something on something I don't have the facts. In Okrika, he has mentioned Bright. There was no time Bright was attacked anywhere around Okrika. No time. From what we heard, the young man that died is my younger friend. Bright himself is my friend. We heard they were going to somewhere and whatever, they called the boy. In fact, till now, some of us are suspecting that they killed the young man for whatever purpose they had. Because there was no way they would have attacked a car, shot at a driver. 2 gentlemen were in the car with money. The gentleman ran out of the car. There was no scratch on them. The same Bright and whoever that was around took the corpse alone without even consulting family members to a mortuary. Took a date to bury a corpse that is not their own. Him and their group needs to explain what happened to that gentleman. But that's a different issue totally. And he should tell us where in Okrika was Bright attacked. Bright comes to Okrika every other time. Where in Okrika has anybody, any PDP person, been attacked?
The police on that day, when this happened, you say that they provided security, but also respond to this. Was it possible when the first 3 times I think the bombs went up, but it was very light, was it possible for that rally to have been suspended to prevent what happened afterwards?
We were coming back, if I recall, we were coming back from the Amayanabu of Oguluma's palace when we heard that they had thrown dynamite. The police was still there. So we came down there. When we came down, the police did a quick check of the area because they did not come openly. It's like, if you've been to National, if you check the video clips, you'll find out that there is a classroom just behind it, houses as it were. So it's like somebody stayed behind and threw it. It didn't even come down to the ground. It fell on top of the zinc and it blew up the place as it were. So the police did a cordoning, checked the place and said, we can go ahead. So on the basis of that assurance that we called, in fact, a lot of people had dispersed initially. We called back people and people came back and we started all over before the direct gunshots. Now, the issue of gunshots, another issue we need to look at. There were people that were clothed in police uniform. In fact, it was much more later I heard that that's what they advanced in. I did not see. But I heard it and I knew because people were clothed in police uniform, which we don't know. We are not part of our original team.
What didn't you see?
I didn't see Evans. I didn't see Evans. But when we saw the persons with police uniforms, we didn't see hitherto, and we asked questions. He said, these people were the same person that came with the vans. I said, where was the vans? They said they saw a vans